So Peter Burling's New Zealand against Frank Camas's French, a pivotal race, a race that could decide who drops out. Pressure everywhere.
Fascinating. France, we always talk about their stability on their foils. They've actually struggled to get on their foils in this pre-start so far. They got themselves in kind of a weird part of the starting box, but they've recovered. They're back in the game. They're going to start pushing New Zealand hard here and get toward that starting line time and distance at this stage. New Zealand probably a little bit early and has to fend off the potential hook from Camas.
Frank Camas heading for the start line, a flurry of activity and information being passed on. They're going at a fair old lick.
Frank Camas has to stand clear of Emirates Team New Zealand. He has himself in kind of a tough spot. Emirates Team New Zealand can box him out right now if they want to, but they decide to turn and go and win the start fairly easily.
A problem here for the French right at the outset because Peter Burling has edged him out of contention and is flying already. The French under pressure from the word go. 42 knots from the Kiwis as they reach for the first mark.
The French have to win this race with only 2 races left on their schedule. If they don't win this race, then they could only get to 3 wins. That would tie them with Artemis in Japan. And as Ali mentioned earlier, the results of the America's Cup World Series, the event that happened over the last year and a half, that is deemed the tiebreaker.
Well, they've got to go for broke, and they don't need maneuvers like that.
They just seem quite out of kilter here right now, unfortunately, in this breeze of which everybody else seems so stable, up on their foils in the 90 percentile. As usual, the Kiwis pulled off a seemingly perfect jibe there and have stretched out to quite a lead here right out of the blocks.
Well, it's no fuss sailing from New Zealand as opposed to the fluctuating fortunes of Groupama Team France and Frank Camas. They have struggled with their stability through this event so far. And we've said it 1,000 times, but we'll presumably keep on saying it over the next few weeks, Ken. One bad maneuver, one loss of boat speed as a result of those hulls diving in, and you're in big, big trouble.
And nobody's immune to it, and nobody's immune to breakdown either. We never really talk about it. These fragile machines are suspect to breakdown. We saw Oracle Team USA this morning in the pre-start break a rudder, have to go in quickly, and with a crack shore crew, got it fixed and got them back on the water for their race. But with that said, you just never know.
3, 2, 1.
Hurtling into gate 2, Peter Burling very much in control, and the Kiwis racing in their trademark smooth style, high up on the water, high up on the foils. They've got that margin for error in their tacks and their jibes. The cyclors content in their work. French challenge fading. Let's bring in Adam Monoprio, part of Groupama Team France. He's out on the water for us today. Adam, you must already have your heart in your mouth at this point because it's going to take something very special, even at this relatively early stage of the race, to find a way back for the French.
Yeah, it's pretty upsetting to see that they had a poor entry into the start box, which really just disturbed their whole start. And now just watching Team New Zealand just continue to sail perfectly around the race course. We're really going to be struggling to get back into this race without a huge mistake from New Zealand or a mechanical breakdown. But, you know, it's yacht racing, anything can happen, so we've just got to wait and see, really.
Quite a demoralizing scenario as well, isn't it, for those actually on the boat right now, seeing this Kiwi lead being stretched without too much fuss from those in front. I mean, how difficult is it to maintain focus knowing that this race is your be-all and end-all? It all finishes here if they can't find a way in.
Yeah, it's got to be hard for the boys on board, but they're working their butts off anyway, just trying to pump the oil. And, you know, at the end of the day, we've had some really, really good races against Artemis and BAR, and so they should be very proud of themselves with the way they've sailed. But, you know, we come in as the underdogs, and if we can try and close this lead down and to finish within a minute or even 30 seconds of Team New Zealand, that would be a win for Team France.
Tough pill to swallow, but they're being well beaten at the moment, and they're being well beaten by a team that are dishing it out to all comers, frankly. Of the time on the foils, Emirates Team New Zealand. They missed out by the tiniest of fractions in our opening race of the day from maintaining that 100% record.
0.4% is what they missed by. So they've gone around essentially 1.5 races here now and have been in the water for less than 1% of their time. That's not so bad.
Well, the Kiwis are an unforgiving bunch when it comes to sport. They are ruthless, they are relentless. It matters so much, not just to those on board, but all those back home across the North and South Islands. Lots of fascinating sporting battles to come across the next few weeks in New Zealand, of course, with the British and Irish Lions touring there, with rugby at top of the agenda. But the sailing is right up there for the Kiwis, and it matters. It matters a huge amount for them to lay down the gauntlet to Oracle Team USA and maybe make off with the spoils from Bermuda.
They got a long way to go. They got a lot of people still potentially in the way, but I think everybody would have to admit at this stage they look good. Some support. Crowds here have been amazing. The whole setup here at the dockyard in the America's Cup Village is nothing shy of spectacular. All the boats and the super yachts out on the race course and the marinas, all the spectators, just fantastic stuff for sailing.
Total control from the New Zealanders. They've got the French exactly where they want them. Boat speed is always up there.
It's amazing how the boat that leads around this gate just extends. I mean, for obvious reasons, you're going 20-something upwind and 30-something knots downwind, so the yo-yo kind of extends away, and all of a sudden, what looked to be shy leads turn into very large ones in no time.
Well, he's back in his seat now, Peter Burling, but a moment ago he was darting around the place and happy enough
Maybe just taking this low
to
push across this next
make sure that all different bases are covered from various different parts of the boat.
One more up.
The French approaching the gate, but approaching the end.
Pace up a little bit there.
They'll have one more race to go tomorrow. They're up against Artemis Racing, the Swedes, in the final round of qualifying races. But it's looking like it'll be a dead rubber.
Yeah, this will be disappointing for the French, but nonetheless, they should be exceptionally proud with what they've accomplished in a very short period of time, as we've documented very well. Fairly under-budgeted, certainly. Time, as Dennis Conner has told me a million times, this game is all about time and money. And if you have less of both, it's a struggle to catch up. And Adam Minoprio has been with this group pretty much since the start. And Adam, you got to still be very proud of not only the sailors on board, but the entire team, the shore team, the families, everybody else for just this radical improvement in a short period of time.
Yeah, no, it's been fantastic to see how the team's developed in the last 4 months since we've been in Bermuda. I mean, we got here and would do the practice races and just be minutes and minutes behind the other teams, and we've slowly clawed that down to actually being able to take a race, and our first one being against one of the best teams here, Artemis. And so, you know, the shore crew team, the management, the sailors, and everybody's just put in a huge effort to be able to get the team up to being able to win a race. And even though we're being outclassed now, we could possibly be getting outclassed by the future winners of the America's Cup. So it's a tough one for us to be out of the competition, but it's I think we can hold our heads high with how we've managed to bring the team back to win some races in the Louis Vuitton. And we still have one more race left against Artemis, which will be just going out there to show the big dogs that the underdog can still win a race every now and then.
Good stuff. That's great stuff. And spot on. My good friend Bruno Dubois, who's the general manager of the program, and they knew they had it tough from the beginning, and I think those 2 wins were probably as much or more than a French team, given, like Adam said, where they were even weeks ago, never mind months or years ago. It's not an easy game out here. To imagine, to watch, you know, yesterday, Ali, you and I were talking about, we're watching these guys rip around the race course. You know, obviously flying out of the water like all the other foiling boats, and to think they're slow. You know, this is the slow boat. We've seen them go 40+ knots, and they're the slow boat at this stage. That's incredible.
Around the mark go the French, with their hopes fading fast. And again, another example of the difficulty they have with the stability of their maneuvering. It is not easy out there, far from it, but you just don't see the Kiwis doing that.
No, all the... Yeah, Ali, to win at this level, clearly, as we're seeing, you got to go around almost clean, especially in this breeze. And by clean, we mean out of the water 100% of the time. And we'll get a minute as these guys come around this next gate. Maybe we can catch a quick glimpse at the flight time again. It's perfect weather today. I think all these guys would say 14 knots in flat water is about as good as it gets. Exhilarating, yet not crazy. Oh boy, should we talk about it? And
no,
jinx
not now. Certainly not now. Not with one hull flying 8, 9, 10 feet above the water. It's on. It is on. 100% of the time, the Kiwis flying their hulls, and not too far to go now. Is this the moment we've been waiting for, Ken? Maybe nobody else has been waiting for it, but we have been waiting for this moment.
I think it's talked about a lot. I've seen it online quite a bit. I've seen a lot of articles. I've seen some broadcasts about, will we see this elusive? Other teams have said in practice they have gotten around, but you know what? You can say a lot of things during practice. We have some gauges on these boats to actually tell whether that lured hull goes in the water or not. And what were they, 99.6 in the first race, and here they are 100. I think their tacks, I think they just turn the boat more aggressively in the tacks. And I may be wrong, but it seems to me that he just throws it more in the tacks. And for sure, you know, we talked to Russell Coutts a lot about these boats and the speed of the boats. He keeps saying, watch the technique. The evolution of the technique on all these boats is what's really driving this extra performance as much as anything, because they're committed to their wings, their foils. Now it's how do we use these tools? And it seems to me that the Kiwis are figuring out how to use these tools in different ways than we've ever seen before. one example.
Well, they're in total command, and it's hard to see them not featuring in the final analysis of this 35th America's Cup. Highly motivated, highly skilled.
All right,
You don't see it quite so much round the gates, do you? But certainly in the tacks, in the jibes, up and down the course, the speed with which they do throw themselves into the manoeuvres is drastically quicker than the other boats, I would suggest.
It appears so to me. It'd be interesting to kind of overlay some tape at some stage and see if we can see the difference in tacking and jibing technique. But yesterday was dramatic. Yesterday in that super light air, how quickly they were throwing it through the tacks was dramatic.
Well, it's hard work. There's no mistaking that. The effort that these guys put in. That's why they're up early. They're home late. They are working so hard on their fitness, their physique, their lung capacity.
All of them have brought in Olympic caliber trainers, coaches, nutritionists in order to keep this pace up, in order to, again, create that hydraulic pressure, that pressure that pumps the fluid through the system and controls everything on the boat, from the rake and the angle and the pitch of the foils, the rudders, the jib trim, the wing camber, the twist, everything is controlled off of these incredibly complex hydraulic systems. And you see back aft there, Blair too, he's got a little gauge right there. It's thought that he actually is controlling a lot of the, unlike many of the boats where the helmsman is controlling the fore and aft pitch or rake of the dagger boards, it's thought that he might be doing more of that, which is freeing up Peter Burling to be more of a tactician. So these guys are definitely doing it a little bit different than everybody else.
Well, whatever the tactics, whatever the schemes, whatever the ploys, it is working for Emirates Team New Zealand. This, the final gate before the blast reach to the finish line. Another wonderful display.
Okay, so what's your bet?
I'm in, I'm all in.
You are?
Yeah. Look, we had 99.6 before. Come on. It's going to happen.
All right. This is all comes whether they
roll the dice, Ken.
Are they going to dog it before the finish? I mean, they could spoil it just by being cautious right at the end of the race.
I don't think they know cautious. I don't think any of these sailors know cautious. It's not in their DNA. 100% of the time up on the foils. And this, the glory finish for Peter Burling and Emirates Team New Zealand.
Come on, boys, keep it up through the finish. Make us all proud.
Flying to the finish line. A powerful, dominant 7th win of the regatta for New Zealand. And that means it is over for the French. The Kiwis cross the line and France are out. Eliminated at the qualifying stage. They're going home. New Zealand are celebrating. A crushing blow for Frank Camas. He can no longer surpass either the Swedes or the Japanese, and the Kiwis, meanwhile, have taken the lead in this qualifying stage. They move up to 8 points. They have leapfrogged Oracle Team USA. And don't forget, that bonus point is on offer for whoever wins this stage. They can take a bonus point through to the match itself. And how precious that might prove. We saw how critical these small margins are, didn't we, 4 years ago in San Francisco, that incredible finish. But for the French now, a rather sorry finish after a brave campaign. Victories for them in the early part of the regatta against the Swedes and Great Britain. They were not without their highlights.
Absolutely. Yeah, something to be proud of and something to build on, and let's just hope that they have the ability through their supporters and their sponsors and their team and their families and everybody else involved to keep this program together and come back roaring next time around. That's what you need. You just need time. You need time and smart people. A little bit of money doesn't hurt either. Groupama has been a huge sponsor, supporter of Frank Kiwis, doing all kinds of different efforts with Frank for years, including Volvo Ocean races and laps around the planet in 110-foot multi-hulls. He broke the record around the world, quickest time record at one stage 5 or 6 years ago on a 100+ foot trimaran. So he's used to multi-hulls, let's put it that way, but I don't know if anybody's used to multi-hulls like this, and it certainly has been a learning curve for Groupama Team France.
So they're nearly there. Their day is almost done. As we've been discussing, they will have one further race tomorrow against the Swedes of Artemis Racing, but it will count for nothing on account of the fact that they can only reach 3 points, which will not be enough for them to be part of the qualifying exercise for the Challenger playoff system. The others all safe at this point. They will head into the semi-finals of the playoffs. The Kiwis, the Americans, the British, the Japanese and the Swedes. The point at which 6 becomes 5.
What any grinder doesn't want to hear is 2 more jibes, fellas. Oh boy, not good. That's just pumping a lot of hydraulic fluid, and especially when the race is over like this. But you don't have a choice. The boats physically will not sail without that hydraulic fluid flowing through all the different areas of the boat. Come in with a flurry, Frank, and give your supporters one last good solid flyby here. He's out again tomorrow, but still, this is a bit of a swan song race, of course.
Well, plenty of French support on the shoreline. It has been a brave challenge, but it is over now. Their hopes have been dashed. It was always going to be an uphill task for Groupama Team France, last to join the America's Cup program, and with the smallest budget, they will take no further meaningful part